In the Spire's legal system, the enemies are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the prosecution, who scale their damage, and the defense, who must mitigate it. These are their stories.
What if Slay the Spire 2 was actually a court of law, and the Regent was a highly esteemed defense attorney? In this challenge, the rules of evidence are strict. If the prosecution is attacking, we must meet force with force. If they are buffing, we are restricted to legal maneuvering. Going outside the law, we will be held in contempt of the court. 15 floors, 15 chances to sway the jury. Can we get our client off the hook, or will the Act 1 boss side with the prosecution? This is the Regent's Trial by Combat.
All rise.
As the prosecution prepares their opening statements, the team appears disorganized. One attorney intends to litigate immediately, while the other attempts a debuff maneuver. Since the prosecution's intentions are split, we invoke the Mixed Intent Clause, granting us full jurisdictional authority. We are able to play any card we choose without restriction. By the second round of examinations, the prosecution gets on the same page and becomes aggressive. We are forced to take the initiative and disbar the lead attorney. The remaining slug is stunned by our legal prowess. On turn 3, we waste no time dispatching the remaining attorney, a flawless opening for the Regent. While prepping for day 2, the Regent is offered a rare asset, bloody ink. We add it to our file to ensure our future motions carry more weight. Day 2 opens with a familiar scene, a split prosecution. We waste no time targeting the aggressive attorney to collapse their scaling. This angers the co-counsel, and the prosecution begins mounting a frantic case. The Regent's ego takes a minor hit during cross-examination, but we manage to survive the session, picking up a strategic consultant on the way out of the courtroom. On day 3, the prosecution sends a senior attorney who's swinging right out of the gates. Knowing this won't be a standard defense, the Regent decides to test the judge's patience. We intentionally play an illegal skill during the attack phase. Strike 1. The contempt is noted on the record. On turn 2, we take our time to examine the evidence in front of us before attacking. The prosecution gets off some good blows of his own before going into deliberation. This gives us an opportunity to consult with our colleagues before going on the attack. Unfortunately, our arguments come up a bit short, leaving us vulnerable. But by turn 5, we're able to finish off this attorney once and for all. Sensing the jury swaying in their direction, the prosecution sends a full team to overwhelm us. This session is going to test the Regent's ability to scale a defense against multiple plaintiffs. The Regent calls in his special consultant to help him scale up his damage. On turn 2, we invoke full sovereignty, decisively fending off 2 of the attorneys in a single motion. The remaining attorney attempts to answer, but he as well is met with our blade. The trial goes into a short recess for the weekend as we return to our firm to consult with our team. We go through the evidence, devise a plan for the rest of the trial, and take on some much needed rest. As we awake the next morning, we are contacted by a unanimous witness who agrees to testify in our favor if we can provide him with some protection. As session 2 begins, we are met with a ghastly apparition of an attorney. Under pressure to find a breakthrough, we decide to test the judge's patience once again. But it pays off as we begin scaling our win condition. And on turn 2, we begin releasing our counter arguments. But the living fog isn't going to go down that easy. We are forced to continue attempting to scale our damage, even if it's holding us in contempt of the court. We pick up our 3rd strike. And then a 4th strike. We can no longer upgrade the rest of the trial. But this penalty proves worthy as we're able to survive the day. Sensing that they are losing the jury's trust, the prosecution sends in a quadrilateral counsel. On turn 1, their disorganized opening gives us full jurisdictional authority. We use this to our advantage as we refine our sovereign blade and disbar one of the lead attorneys. Turn 2 is a repeat of the split counsel, allowing us to further power our evidence. But by turn 3, the prosecution pounces with an all-out assault. Lacking a legal answer, the region is forced into a desperate maneuver. Another contempt is filed. However, it pays off on turn 4 as we are able to dispatch the second attorney. But the prosecution isn't done. By turn 5, we are low on the jury's trust, and our health is failing. We are forced into taking another strike, triggering the Tier 2 penalty, evidence suppression. Our potions are now impounded. But this ploy pays off, as it enables us to survive the elite, but we are limping towards the verdict. The closing arguments see the prosecution send in the rats to pick at our remaining credibility. Having built some minor grace with the judge, the region effectively maneuvers the prosecution and maintains his stance before the bench. The regent regroups at the firm for one final strategy session. We acquire the bomb, a high-impact legal motion. and take a mandatory rest period before the judge hands down the final decision. We arrive back at court for the final judgment. With full authority active, we're prepared to pull out every trick left in the file. We deliver our opening statement, planting the bomb and refining our blade, preparing for the long litigation ahead. On turn 2, the boss is preparing to deliver a blow. We attempt to mitigate as much as we can, but at this point, it just feels futile. We're left with no other choice but to try to go on the attack. But by turn 4, even as we are beginning to build our sovereign blade, the boss answers with a hail. The momentum is shifted. We can sense our fate. Turn 5, we land a minor blow, but it's answered instantly. We enter turn 6 with only 4 health remaining. We take a look at our hand. There isn't enough block to counter the boss's incoming damage. We make one last, desperate plea for our client. But it's all in vain. The judge slams the gavel one final time. The final verdict: guilty as charged.